This is the ANN. I'm Livia Korovich, reporting from Eastern Ostrogal. I wanted to give a brief introduction to what you're about to hear. This recording was taken from the second political event in the 2025 Ostrogal election, with Dmitry Veklenko of the People's Restoration Front and Major Viktor Semenov of the Liberty and Shield Group. The first speaker you will hear is Major Viktor Semenov, who begins as the only speaker on an LSG-decorated podium, thinking he will be the only candidate showing up the event. Shortly after Semenov begins speaking, Veklenko arrives and proceeds to the stage with a fiery rebuke. The two candidates go back and forth, trading accusations and insults. We have clipped the audio that follows directly afterwards, which involved a bloody assault on the venue that left nearly 30 killed. Here are the candidate speeches, courtesy of the ANN.
Well, it seems it's just me tonight. 3 podiums, 3 ghosts. I suppose I can just debate myself. Imagine that. One man arguing with himself, because the others lacked the courage to stand here. Perhaps I should trade insults back and forth and play both sides. I could even pretend this is still a contest. But why? Why would I insult your intelligence with theatrics, when the truth is already plain? This election has already been decided. Not by speeches, not by hollow slogans, not by crowds whipped into a frenzy, but by the simplest of facts. I am the only one left standing in front of you. Everyone else has fled the field. They had their chance, they shouted their slogans, they promised the world. And then, when it mattered most, they disappeared. The so-called Democrat of the people vanished without a word. Not strong enough to face the fire, not strong enough to stay. Jalousie, who claimed to be the voice of the South, slipped quietly into exile, trading your struggles for comfort in Kasivar. And Veklenko, the man of slogans, of smoke and mirrors, where is he tonight? Not here. Not under the lights. Not in front of you, facing the judgment of the people. He hides, as cowards always do. Each of them surrendered. Each of them betrayed not only themselves but you. And when a candidate surrenders before the people, when they fold before even standing here to defend their vision, the people already have their answer. This country has been bleeding for too long. You know it in your homes, in your empty wallets, in the graves dug too early for your sons. You feel it in the silence of factories gone cold, in the fear on the roads after dark, in the exhaustion of trying to survive one more week of chaos. We cannot survive another experiment, another ideology dressed up as salvation. We cannot endure one more round of liars peddling their fantasies while you pay in blood. We need steel. We need discipline. We need order that lasts longer than applause in a square, order that does not vanish when the microphones turn off. That is why I built the Liberty and Shield Group. Jobs where there are none, security where there is none, stability where there is none. This is not philosophy, comrades, it is survival. The factories, the ports, the roads, these are not dreams scribbled on paper. They are contracts signed, workers hired, shovels in the ground. Where others give you slogans, I give you paychecks. Where others give you chaos, I give you law. Where others promise, I deliver. The others wanted power for themselves. They wanted chaos they could control, flames they could ride like a wave. But chaos cannot be controlled. You have lived through it. You have watched your livelihoods collapse. You have buried sons because of it. You have tasted the ash of their ambitions, and you deserve better. And still they dared to tell you, trust me, it will be different this time. Trust me, the same broken ideas will somehow produce new results. Different faces, same games. And where are they now? Gone, running, disappearing when the moment of truth arrived. So ask yourself, if they cannot even show up to stand here before you, what will they do when the hard choices come? When the treasury is empty, when the world demands strength and discipline, will they vanish again? Will they fold again? Yes, because that is who they are. Weak men, pretenders. I am here. I have not run. I have not hidden. I have not begged for mercy, and I will not. Because this election is no longer about ideas. It is not about philosophies scribbled in manifestos or painted on banners. It is about survival. And survival requires one thing: someone willing to stand in front of you, in front of the world, no matter the cost, and say, I will carry this nation forward. I will bear the weight. I will hold the line. Alone, if I must. You want strength? I am strength. So yes, tonight you see one candidate, but do not mistake this for emptiness. This is clarity. The field has spoken. The weak have left. The pretenders have been exposed. What remains is iron, and with iron we will rebuild. With iron, we will forge something that endures longer than any one of us. This election is already over. The people already know it. Now it is only a matter of counting the days until the ballots confirm what you feel tonight, that there is only one path left, only one hand steady enough to guide this nation through the storm. And before we close, before we let this silence settle into the walls around us, let's take a moment to remember your absent candidates. Please, take a silent moment and bow your heads with me. Not to honor them as leaders, for they abandoned both you and that title, but to acknowledge that they were once part of this choice, that they once stood before you, and that they could not withstand the weight of it. Let us break and bow our heads for a moment of silence.
Silence? No. No more bowing heads. No more pretending this is a funeral for democracy, when the only thing he wants to bury is your right to speak. This is not a wake. This is the final debate of a nation that still breathes, still bleeds, still refuses to kneel. Semenov says he is the last man standing. Understand what that means in his mouth. Not courage, but clearance. Empty podiums as trophies. Vacancies arranged like furniture. Valeska's offices were padlocked after midnight audits. Jalousy's convoy to the border was escorted by the same men who guard the Liberty and Shield depots on the VT7 corridor. And then he walks out here and calls that proof of strength. A field he salted himself, now declared a desert. That is not bravery. That is a puppet master pulling strings. He says the election is already decided. Ask yourselves, decided by whom? By the people who have not yet voted, or by the contracts he constantly says have already been signed? When a man tells you the choice is over before you speak, he is not a candidate. He is a caretaker sent to lock the doors behind you. He sells you iron, order, discipline. Listen closely. In his language, iron is a padlock on a factory gate. Order is the silence of a square ringed with private rifles. Discipline is for you. Overtime with no heat. Inspections with no pay. while his friends skip every line with a badge and a business card. He calls it liberty and shield. I ask him today, liberty for whom? A shield for whom? He will accuse me of being dangerous, so let us speak about danger plainly. Twice in the past 2 months, men came for me with guns. His men came for me with guns. Do you understand? He does not protect this nation. He finances the wounds. And then he sells you a bandage with his logo on it. He will step up after me and spit a single word. Treason. He will wave papers. There are always papers. Because he thinks you cannot read beyond the stamp. A seal can be borrowed. A signature can be forged in a quiet office at midnight, while the city sleeps. What cannot be forged is what you live. You know who knocked on your door asking for unpaid tolls. You know which foreman told you to train the temporary foreign workers who replaced your cousins. You know what it means when a convoy of black SUVs parks across 2 handicapped spaces and no one dares write a ticket. That is his order. That is his island. He tells you chaos cannot be controlled. He is right, but incomplete. Chaos cannot be controlled by men who profit from it. It can be ended by a republic that refuses to be run like a subcontract. He wants obedience. I want responsibility. He wants your silence. I want your say. He wants to hold the line alone. I want to build a line together so no one man ever needs to. And since he loves to measure manhood by who shows up, measure me by this. I show up in the places his convoys avoid. I show up in Harvesto's shuttered yards, where the only heat comes from burn barrels. I show up in Virajoki's stairwells, but the lift has been broken since the spring, and the old carry groceries up 5 flights. I show up at the kitchens, where mothers cut pills in half so their children can sleep through hunger. I do not bring a camera crew. Meanwhile, Victor Semenov flies to our country for these events and returns to his plane as quickly as his media apparatus will allow him. He wants to end tonight with a moment of silence. Instead, I'm going to end it with a moment of truth. If you let one man declare victory before you have spoken, you will spend the next decade being told to be grateful while your pockets are searched. If you let a company present itself as a constitution, you will wake up one day a tenant in a country you were born in. So I ask you to choose, not between calm and chaos, but between custody and custody of yourselves, between a padlock and a key, between a paycheck that arrives with your dignity attached and a contract that binds your hands behind your back while calling it work. Do not bow your heads. Lift them. Look at him, look at me, look at the road outside this hall, and decide who built it for you to walk, and who plans to charge you for every step. This is our republic. It is not for sale. And Semenov, if you dare answer me, do it not in silence, but in front of these wonderful citizens.
You really want me to respond? Then listen carefully. Veklenko has spent his entire campaign trying to convince you that shadows are facts, that rumors whispered in stairwells are greater than the lives you live every single day. He paints me as the puppeteer of violence, as if I would waste bullets on phantoms. when I am standing here, night after night, unflinching in front of you. I have not hired gunmen. I have not financed thugs. That blood he speaks of, if it was ever even shed in the first place, it was not by my order, nor for my cause. Let me say it plain. I do not kill opponents to win debates. I outlast them. I outwork them. I outfight them in the open daylight, where you can judge me for yourself. Violence is weakness hiding in the shadows. True order, which my platform hinges on, requires daylight, contracts, and responsibility. But ask yourselves, who benefits from the smoke of these so-called assassination attempts? Dmitry Veklenko does. Each time he claims to be hunted, he climbs another rung on the ladder of sympathy. Each time he bleeds in his stories, he tries to cash the wound for applause. And what do we hear from inside his own camp? Whispers of conversations with Reznev loyalists, of travel to questionable destinations, of meetings where chairs went empty because his own advisors walked away. That chaos was not sent by me. It was born in his own house. He is being devoured not by me or my allies, but by his own. Even now, his organizers resign in droves. His so-called councils fracture. His promises rot in the air. It's bitter irony that the people's restoration cannot even restore itself. He will tell you that I salt the earth, that I clear fields and create deserts. No. What I clear are his illusions. What I create are opportunities. Valeska left because his scaffolding collapsed under the weight of fantasy. Jalousie fled because he could not carry the burden of the whole. And now he tries to tell you I chased them out with private guards? No. They left because they were weak, because they knew the people would see through them. Because strength cannot be imitated, it must be lived. And let us not forget, when those candidates disappeared, who kept speaking? Me, not him. Where has Dmitry Veklenko been the last month? He mocks iron, order, discipline. He wants you to see cruelty where there is structure, and oppression where there is law. He wants you to fear that every contract is a chain. But you know better. You know what it feels like when a factory hums again, when a road is paved, when a paycheck comes at the end of the week. That is not bondage. That is dignity restored. And it is precisely because I hold discipline as sacred that you will not see me inventing fairy tales of midnight gunmen to score points in the polls. I did not come here to sell you fear. I came to tell you the truth, that this republic is exhausted, bled dry by empty ideologues, by dreamers without plans, by men who collapse when the stage lights burn hottest. Veklenko is one more of them. He calls himself a savior, but he cannot even save his own party from tearing itself apart. And what does his camp give you in return? Accusations of treason, shouted in the dark, pointed at anyone who dares to ask for proof. Vague enemies, foreign whispers, shadows in every corner. That is not leadership, that is paranoia. I will not name names tonight, but listen closely as I say this. If a man spends more time whispering in ears inside of foreign capitals than walking among his own people, if his advisors slip abroad to conferences while workers here go hungry, perhaps you should ask, quietly but seriously, who he truly salutes. Veklenko came here to accuse. I came here to prove. He came here to shout. I came here to lead. And when the ballots are cast, the people will not choose a victim nursing grudges. They will not choose another hollow prophet or a man whose loyalties waver across borders. They will choose the one who stood when others fled, who endured every lie and still stood calm, who carried not excuses but a shield, not a grievance but a duty. They will choose strength. They will choose continuity. And that strength, that continuity, that future, rests with me.
You want to know what betrayal looks like? Then hear me. because I will not whisper any longer. Semenov stands here smug, rehearsed, speaking of law and delight while planting poison in your ears. He dares to suggest that I kneel in foreign capitals, that my hand salutes not you, but some shadow abroad. That is not a mistake. That is a dagger aimed at my chest. He cloaks it in politeness and little hints and careful phrases like a coward who throws stones from behind a wall. But let's rip away the veil. He is calling me a traitor. Me, who has walked the streets of Havaisto without plates, who has bled in Viroryoki when bombs tore the night apart, who has been hunted twice in as many months by killers we all know carried his coin in their pockets. And now he has the gall to stand here and call me the paranoid one. To tell you that the attempts on my life were theater, that the bullets were stage props, that my scars were written by my own hand. Tell that to the doctor who pulled the round from my shoulder. Tell that to the widow of my driver who didn't survive the ambush on my convoy at the Viryoki steel plant. Tell her it was a fairy tale. Tell her the casket was empty. Go on, Semenov. Tell her. I see her in the audience now. She still believes in our cause. I said, tell her! Do you understand what I risk by standing here tonight? Every step onto this stage is a gamble against men who would rather see me buried than speaking. Every word I speak is shadowed by the memory of gunfire, by the fear that the next round will find its mark. I do not arrive here behind armored glass or a convoy of rifles or the support of investors. I arrive here knowing that the violence aimed at me is real, and that by showing up I carry that danger on behalf of all of you who cannot walk these streets safely. This is not theater. This is survival, and I risk it willingly because silence would be worse than death. If I were the puppet of a foreign hand, would I be standing here, hunted, bleeding, burying my friends? Or would I be where he was, behind convoys and guards, rehearsing lines in safety while others take the fire? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself who bleeds for this nation and who fattens himself upon it. He accuses my camp of fracture, of infighting. Yes, men argue. Yes, advisors leave. That is called politics. That is called free thought. But better a council that argues and breathes than a company boardroom where the only vote is stamped in rubber and paid in foreign currency. His movement is not a party. It is a ledger. Balance sheets in place of ballots, invoices in place of ideas. You want to know why the others fled, not because they were weak, but because they were bought. Bought or bullied into silence by the very man who now sneers at me. And let us cut through it plainly. When he whispers of foreign whispers, when he dares to suggest that my loyalties waver, he spits in the face of every worker who stood beside me in the streets, of every widow who laid flowers on the graves of those lost, of every child who still believes that this country belongs to them and not to some board of directors. He spits in your face, and I will not let it stand. So hear me now. I am not a foreigner. I am not a whisper. I am not a shadow. I am your anger given voice, your hunger given will, your blood given purpose. And if he wants to end this night with insinuations, then you all should end tonight with fire and blood. Semenov does not protect this republic. He mortgages it. He does not carry a shield. He sells it to the highest bidder. He does not speak for you. He speaks for the investors waiting on the other end of his phone. And I will not kneel to that. I will not bow my head in silence while he digs the grave of our sovereignty. I will fight, here and now. And if he wants to call me traitor, let him look me in the eye as he does it. And then watch this republic rise against him. And let me leave you with this, because I feel it in my bones. The danger is not gone. I can see it in the corners of this very hall, in the way shadows twitch, in the way silence falls too heavy. If they want me silenced, they will try again, perhaps even tonight. But I will not flinch. If the gunmen are waiting, let them come. Let them test their courage against a man who will not bow. And let the world see in this moment that the Republic still stands, and so do I. Long live Ostrogel. Long live the People's Restoration Front. Long live our glorious revolution.